You hear that? You hear that? Oh, hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build studio in New York City. You know, it's been a little over a year since season 1 of Absentia first started streaming on Amazon Prime here in the States. So fans are absolutely stoked that season 2 drops in less than 24 hours. So, as to not spoil anything, all I'll say is season 2 takes literally everything you loved in season 1, turns it all the way up to 11, all right? Joining me here in just a few short moments, star and executive producer Stana Katic is in the building. Folks, you excited about that? Are you at home? Are you excited at home? They're excited, so you better be as well. We're going to bring her out here in just a second, but first, I believe we have a quick peek at the show, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
Mom? Mom? Are you okay?
Yeah.
I'm hungry. What should I eat?
Go on. See what we can find.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time. Stana Katic is right there. You gonna make some noise or what? You gonna do it up?
Thank you.
It's right there.
Hello, hello.
Perfect.
Are you guys watching tonight? Tonight? Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful. Stana, congratulations. This is so exciting.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to talk to you about the show.
Yeah.
How are you? How is life? How is Stana?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just arrived in New York day before yesterday, and I'm just kind of like enjoying it. You guys have had a little bit of rain, a little bit of cloud.
But everything.
Yeah.
The sun has suddenly come out just now. I've just noticed that.
Here
That's wonderful.
comes the sun. Du-du-du-du.
Perfect. All right, everybody stop. Legally, if we sing any more than that, this show goes bankrupt, all right? So that is just enough of that. This second season's fantastic.
Thank you.
How do you feel on the eve of the U.S. release? Are you excited? Are you nervous? What's going on? What are your emotions before it comes out here for us?
I'm truly excited. And I think I'm excited mostly because as a producer, of course, I've seen all 10 episodes by now. And I got to see how all of the other performances were carved out. And I think that there's some really lovely work by my fellow actors. And so I'm excited for the audience to experience it. Yeah.
And keep me honest here, to my knowledge, my understanding, it's definitely already aired in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And I think I saw Portugal and Japan had it as well.
Spain, Portugal. Yeah. It did it unusually this time. It did an international release and then came back to the States. So this is the States launch.
Well, I saw it was really cool because you were interacting in multiple languages with people around the world.
Yeah.
Is this your first time ever experiencing that? Sort of this all around the world at once, different kind of global launch, engaging as it's coming out. What's that been like? Yeah,
it's unusual to start it, for me, to start it globally first and then to come back sort of to where I live. But I kind of like it, you know, the television landscape has changed so much that it feels like we're starting in the US to import a lot of new shows, and streaming networks kind of like Amazon, which is where Absentia airs, they're not afraid anymore to post shows that are based in another language. So now we're able to see shows on HBO or Netflix or Amazon that are, let's say, launched and spoken in Polish, for one example, right? So I think it's kind of like the new of what's happening in television.
Is it hard to have to keep launching? Oh, it's launching over here. Now it's launching over there. Now it's launching over here. Now it's in the States. Like, is that a lot to keep up with?
It's actually nice practice for doing press, to be honest. Yeah, because I feel like, oh, okay, I kind of know how I'm gonna discuss the new season. So I feel like that's helpful.
Perfect. We're gonna put those skills to use in just a little bit.
Thanks, roar. I'm ready.
We're gonna get right into it. Let's start with an easy one though, one that you've talked about before, but I always kind of love hearing, and that's just, as everybody knows, star, executive producer. What is it about this show that it got its hooks in you so early, and that you wanted to, I can't just be in front of the camera. I want to have my hands all over this project. Why do you love this project so much?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that first drew me to the project was the fact that it was an opportunity to play an anti-hero. And I love watching shows like Peaky Blinders and Cillian Murphy's Thomas Shelby, for instance. Tony Soprano from The Sopranos. I love and advocated for some of these sort of amoral characters. And I think the opportunity to play a character like that was interesting. It would be fun as an exploration for an actor. And then as far as being a part of the production end of it, it just makes sense after a while. I've had a number of years on sets, and I've spent a number of hours on sets. And some actors, although they're more along the lines of, I love being an actor, I love being in front of the camera, and performance is my thing, and that's it. I was always one of the actors who was really keen on learning more, so I would sit down with the directors at the Video Village, I would talk to the writers, hang out with the producers, and then my camera crew, my crew in general, I was always kind of picking their brains. So I'm more of a storyteller than just an actor, and I feel like there's a lot of actors like that, like what is it, Bradley Cooper. You know, he did a really lovely job with an Oscar award-winning film this year. So yeah, so I feel like that there are some actors who are just that too. They're storytellers.
Did you, was it both at once for you? Was it like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity for me to exercise these muscles and use all these skills that I've sort of been working on? Or like, was it producer first and then, oh, I could star in it too? Or was it like, how did, you know, when this happened, were you like, did it all click right away? I know exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, they were the Sony, who's kind of like our studio, and then Amazon would be the network of it if you want to take a look at traditional film landscape. Sony said, hey, we've got this role, is this interesting? And then along the way in the discussion of what that would look like, they said, and are you interested in taking on the role of a producer as well? And that really made sense. You know, I'm enjoying the ability to contribute, and hopefully with that many hours under belt, I can add some value to how we get the project done.
Very cool. Yeah. I remember reading about season 1 that you guys shot in a somewhat unconventional manner for a television series.
Yeah.
So you were doing everything at once, basically. Yeah. Like you'd shoot this scene from episode 7 here, and then we need this scene from episode 2 here, and stuff like that. Was there something you learned throughout that process in season 1 that when you came time to do season 2, you were like, all right, now we're even better at this, or let's never do X, Y, and Z again? Like, what was it like coming into season 2, such a victory, season 1, people loved it, here we are. How did you want to make it better and elevate it?
I think, you know, what we had from season 1 was we got to know this character finally. So at the very beginning, and I would say this is just kind of the overarching theme for season 1, the audience asked the questions, can we trust Emily, right? And then in season 2, we've spent a bit of time with her, and now the question in season 2 is, can Emily trust herself? So doing that sort of storytelling, in the first season, we spend a lot of time in an objective viewpoint with this character, leaning in on the mystery, hopefully keeping audiences at the edge, saying, oh, I don't know if I like that about this character, or, oh, I get this, I really root for this character. So they're doing this dance. In the second season, we're experiencing her pretty intimately along the way. And so that gives us an opportunity to go and explore some of the other characters as well. And so now we get time to really delve into her brother Jack, to delve into her husband's wife, Alice, to delve into Nick as well, her ex-husband, and so on. So I think that's one of the most exciting things about this season. Although Emily is the protagonist, we have a really wonderful ensemble cast.
Well, one of the things I was really excited to see, too, coming out of season 1, you know, we spent so much of that season, the goal was to find her tormentor, to take care of it. And everything seemingly is like buried and done and kind of taken care of. But dealing with the aftermath of that, you've done that thing. That doesn't put everything back. That doesn't help you understand who you are. Like, there's a whole other side of this story that we have to see now and get to find out about and get to watch Emily go through. And I have to imagine, was that exciting to sink your teeth into it? Forget about the producer side point for a second, just as an actor, to get to do that with this character. That must be thrilling.
Oh, yeah. And it was certainly a challenge, right? We're delving deeper into a character whose memory and sense of self, her identity is completely shattered, and she has to put those pieces back together. And she needs to do that in order to, her main driving force is having a relationship with her son, who she loves above and beyond all else. That's the thing that helped her survive what she went through. So I think in order to know that he is safe around her, in order to hopefully have a future with and alongside him, she's got to dig pretty deep, and that as an actor was a challenging and fun and scary journey.
Talk about that journey and working with Patrick, the two of you, because you're right, that relationship is so important to this story and so interesting and fascinating to watch. How do they find whatever normal is for them? Like, how do you figure that out? What did you and Patrick do off camera to make that work on camera?
Good question. Good question. Yeah, we had a number of rehearsals. Patrick McCauley plays Flynn. He plays Flynn Durand, who's Emily's son. And in the rehearsals, I remember I said to him, I said, what do you think about this relationship? And he's British. And he said, you know, I'm not going to imitate his British accent because...
You speak like a billion languages. You can't do a British. You're not going to do a British accent?
I could, but just to be fair to him, fair to him. Yeah.
Because he does watch. I know Patrick's a big fan of the show.
Yeah, clearly.
Right now.
Obviously. Yeah.
Shout out to Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
It's my third shout out to Patrick today.
But to be fair, he said, well, you know, clearly you're Batman and I'm little Batman, you know? And so for him, which I thought was really lovely, he already intuited on the fact that these two characters are of the same strain. They're of the same DNA. And we did other things, you know, like we would play off book and we would kind of just speak what these characters really wanted to say to each other so that we found that freedom. He's a really lovely guy, you know, he's growing into a young man. And we also, on the first day where we all met to have dinner together as a cast before we actually started shooting, we put on these straps of leather, kind of, you know, that like superhero kind of force thingy that you can touch and like activate. Yes. Yes. Thank you. No, it's good. It's good.
You've connected on the superhero force band thingy. Yeah, no.
Yes.
It's a very personal memory for our member of our audience, and that's totally fine. That's valid.
So we had that.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Right out of the gate, episode 1, season 2, episode 1, the show, I mean, it looks incredible. You can just feel that you guys came back like hungry, like you've elevated everything, and it just feels like you're in for a wild ride. It's going to be a great season. You can tell right away. How, when you guys found out, well, first of all, how did you find out you were getting season 2? When did you first get that news? Let's go there. I'm sorry, is that a sore?
It's not a sore subject. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
It's. How do
I
I
told you I was
say
gonna
things
put all
that
those
I'm
skills
not
to
allowed
work.
to say, you know?
Oh, you can't say? Okay, well, then fine,
Yeah.
forget it. Then don't tell me.
Yeah? Okay.
If you can't, I don't want to get you in trouble. You're my guest. I don't want to
you
make you
so
say
much.
something you can't say.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, forget it. So you have season 2. We know it. It was a great moment. Billy Amazon
you're
calls
kinda
you
like-
up,
yeah.
and he says, hey, season 2's happening.
Yeah.
So now you go
Hey,
and
Katic, we got season 2 in the bag.
the president of Hollywood calls you.
Essentially.
Yes.
Yes.
The head of show business.
The Lord of all.
That's right. They phone you up
Yes.
on a rotary, because it's all very old school out there.
Yeah, clearly.
And they say it's happening.
Yes.
Assemble your team.
Okay, done. Click.
You get everybody together in a room. This is the part I'm
Yeah.
actually curious about. And you go, how do we make it better than season 1? How do we elevate it?
Yeah.
How do we go further?
Yeah. Okay, so season 1 was one of the challenges in season 1 was that we had one director doing the entire season without a break. And as a cast, we were shooting any episode, any scene from any episode on any given day. So in the morning, you might start off shooting episode 7. And then in the afternoon, you're shooting episode 2. And then in the evening, you're shooting episode 10.
How do you, as a performer, know that you've given a consistent performance when you've done episode 7 across an entire... Is this something you can't tell me again? You're making a face. I feel bad that I'm asking you this.
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm thinking about the fact that we have good shoes today.
Oh, they are. Thank you. Yeah, very nice. But seriously, that would drive me mad. Like, how do you know, all right, I'm doing half of episode 7 right now, and I've got to get, like, yeah, I guess you just have to trust your director, right? Like, what else can you do?
You trust your director, and there's like a lot of, it goes beautiful mind kind of in the hotel room. Yeah, you got graphs, you got like little Post-it notes and stuff like that. Because it's important to track the arc of the character.
Totally.
And shooting 10 episodes in a 3.5-month period is like shooting 3 movies all at once.
My God.
Thank you. Yes.
That is wild.
Yes.
That is really, really intense. No wonder you made that face.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so number 1, you were like, never do that again? Like, what happened when you got to...
Well, what we were thinking was, okay, this is challenging, and sometimes it's nice to have. So we created a situation where we had a bit of breaks in between each of the chapters of the story. So our show has always been thought of as an independent film for television. So we've always shot it as if we're shooting an independent feature. And our directors kind of have an autorial sort of ownership of each of their chapters. And so one of the other things that we did this season was to give the first season director a break we gave him the first chapter, which was a nice substantial chunk. And then we brought in 2 other amazing directors as well, who took chapter 2 and chapter 3 and made those their own. So there was a bit more of a relief from bearing the weight of the entire story and bearing the weight of like keeping track of all of the characters and their journeys, right? That was one lesson in it. And then by partnering up with Amazon, that just made things a lot easier along the way. They really came in and tried to assist in a lot of other ways. And look, you have one season with a group of people. You spent 3.5 months together in a place where we were shooting, which was Bulgaria, where the crew is relatively young and really excited about filmmaking. So they were all invested in their own ways. We were also able to establish a wonderful shorthand with our collaborators. So not only as a cast, not only as a creative sort of producerial team, but also as like us and the crew, we were able to kind of have this wonderful shorthand that just cut to the chase and made it easier to shoot, and it made it easier to elevate everything. Thank you.
Let me ask you something. I was looking at I think it was 2012. You won a Prism Award for your performance of portrayal of a character with PTSD.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I know we're looking at 2 completely different characters, 2 worlds apart, different people entirely. But did you bring anything from your experience, from what you learned from all those years ago, from all that, to Emily, who, I mean, definitely has some kind of PTSD, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's so. Like, did you bring any of that experience with you?
I think she's well adjusted and totally happy about life.
She's totally fine. She's totally fine.
Everything's good.
We got 3 people right here. Yeah, exactly. But you know, you have to go to like really dark places, and you also want to make sure that you're even in like such a heightened scenario that you're paying respect to people that have endured maybe not similar things, but have been in scenarios that have yielded these, right? So how do you prepare for that? How do you make sure you're doing all that? And did you bring any of that with you from what you worked on, what you learned all those years ago?
It's interesting. There's a number of books that I've resourced over the years that have kind of fed into elements of this character. There's a wonderful book on leadership. It's called The Power of the Herd. I don't think I've mentioned this at all. It's by Linda Konov, and it specifically speaks to what happens in a person's body under duress. And that was very informative because we talked a bit about that in this, in the development of 2nd season. It speaks to how to establish non-predatory leadership. And in doing that, it just talks about how to navigate a group of people and get them to accomplish X, Y, Z goals. And then on top of that, I read a wonderful book that became a bit of a benchmark for me, which was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he's a man who went through the concentration camps in World War II and spoke about the survivors and how people managed that situation and who ended up surviving and why. And the wonderful note at the end of his book is that there's capacity for forgiveness, and I thought that was a really beautiful end to it. So those were the beginnings of how to build a character and how to create an emotional reality, which was really important for all of us, because the things that happen to this character are so extreme, so unfathomable for me. Thankfully, I don't like take that for granted whatsoever. Unfortunately, it's also stuff that's still happening out there in the world, and sometimes all I had to do was, you know, turn on the television or look at, you know, YouTube clips and resource information for panic attacks, for PTSD, and so on.
That's got to be really like difficult to do, just to sort of, even in the name of research, but to consume all of that and to like have to process that and then put yourself there.
Yeah.
How do you take care of yourself? How do you
decompress?
Yeah, how do you come out of something like that and make sure that you're still taking care of Stana and that like you're okay and like you take care of yourself after something like that?
Yeah, thank you. I love hiking, so I would spend a lot of time in nature. I got to meet this family of alpinists, and there's like 3 generations of alpinists in Bulgaria.
That's a fun thing to be able to say.
I know, alpinists.
I met a family of alpinists.
Does it sound like a Wes Anderson film?
Yeah, it certainly does.
Yeah, it's a little surreal, isn't it?
I met a family of
alpinists.
I love it. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That needed to be called out. Go on. So you met this family of alpinists. There you are. You and the alpinists hanging out, doing alpinist things.
So me and the son alpinist and the father alpinist would go off into the into the mountains.
Magic.
And walk.
What is your life? This is wonderful. So there you are, a whole family of alpinists.
Truly, truly, yes.
Of course.
Yes, and so it was a wonderful kind of decompression situation. Thank you.
And for the record, this show is decidedly pro-alpinists. We're all sitting here laughing, but Build, historically, huge with the alpinist community.
Yeah, definitively.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun with you. I want to make sure we have time for our audience because I'm going to say there's questions from Twitter, questions in the room. Let's go to one from Twitter really quick. This is from Absentia, ITAFP. This is great. I wanted to know this too. What's the funniest thing that's happened on set this season? Show, very dark show. I imagine in between you're doing stuff to keep each other kind of sane and have fun. Something funny happen?
We're laughing all the time.
All the time.
It's inappropriate, actually. Yeah. It's really inappropriate, yeah. Because I would turn to them and we'd be in a break. This is probably not helpful for this story. I hope you guys don't take this with you if you do, and when you do watch it, because you better watch it.
You said that? Every phone went up as you turned around. I hope you guys don't hold on to this forever. Right, got it. Hold on to it forever, I shall.
Yeah, but moments like, in between takes, we'd start laughing, and I was like, you guys don't understand. You weren't stuck in a tank for 6 years underwater. Stupid stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah.
But as a crew and as a cast, we would go to a lot of escape rooms. And one of my cast members, Neil Jackson, who plays Jack, who plays Emily's brother, he was kind of the ringleader for all of that. And I was really chuffed because he's really good, and I don't like being stuck, And I really loved that we were able to escape every single room. So yeah. And did you know that Bulgaria is kind of like the mothership of escape rooms, apparently?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much right now.
I know.
Wait, so there's a wide variety. I imagine the mothership of escape rooms. Did you guys what's the maximum, how many did you do? How many escape rooms?
I don't know,
Ballpark
because I was
number.
oftentimes I was drowning in water and unable to go.
Right, the tank. Oh yeah, I
Yes.
forgot about that.
But I think they went to about maybe 20, 25, something like that. Yeah. And Neil eventually dressed up in one of the characters and tricked the entire cast. Yes. And then surprised them at the very end while he was creepy and following them and touching them and stuff like that. Inappropriate places, okay?
So inappropriate. Did they ever come back? Craziest theme in an escape room that you saw? Most unexpected theme? Was there one that you're like, oh, that's interesting?
The one that he did was kind of this monk and sort of creepy gothic sort of thing. We also did a space one where you had to save the future of the planet. I was in that one.
I'm all about that.
And then we went to Egypt together too. Yeah.
And yet, no alpinists. Do I have any in the room? I've got, 4. Well, let's do it. Let's make some time. Let's go. First question, come on down or have a microphone. Where are you? There you are. Go for it.
Oh.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for taking us on the ride with the show and
Yeah.
your career.
Yeah, thank you.
And you kind of ruined my question.
Oh,
Nice thing to
So I'm going to change it up a bit.
okay, yes.
Being number 1 on the call sheet, which
Yeah.
I hope you are,
Yeah.
how has that affected, everything actually
Hmm.
with the show and with the actors and how the dynamic is, I guess?
Yeah. So the top meaning, and not the top anyone's better than anyone else, meaning just, the people who are kind of at the forefront of what this show is going to be about, set the tone for the set. And so it's really important that we have a great dynamic amongst the producers, which I'm very fortunate. There is a group of, it happens to be women mostly, out of Sony, and then our fellow executive producer, Julie Glucksman, who is a creative executive. And then me. There's a really nice kind of symbiosis, and we're able to talk through creative sort of kerfuffles and overcome any of those obstacles or questions or whatnot in a really lovely way. And find a lot of sort of balance. And so it starts there. And then our job as me, let's say being number 1 or whatever, is really to set up a situation where we hold space for the performers so that they can give their very best, so that they feel safe to deliver performance, because it's really vulnerable at the end of the day, and it's really tough to be in a situation that a lot of these actors have to go through. So I hope that I'm a part of that sort of energy on set, and I hope that people feel safe to play and feel safe to explore and go deep. And I know for a fact that all of the actors that came to this project brought their very best. There wasn't anyone that was phoning it in. There wasn't anyone that was just chilling in between. They were all gung-ho about doing rehearsals, about delivering day in and day out and adding value. If we had extra days to shoot or we needed something extra, every actor was, willing to jump in. So it was really nice to be around a group of people that were so motivated to tell the best story that they could. And the story benefited from it. They elevated the story ultimately.
Great, thank you.
Great question. Thank you. How long ago did you guys wrap up? Because I know you've been doing the world like rollouts, and we're the last to get it, so it must have been a while ago, right?
Yeah, we finished late December.
Huh.
Yeah, and then there's that post-production kind of time period, and then I think our first launch place was Spain, Portugal, which was somewhere mid to end March.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you for your question. Do I have more? Let's do another one. I've got 3 more. You're both holding microphones. Both of you speak at once. Let's see whose is on. Let's try. Go for it.
Hi, Stana. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
My question is, as an executive producer, did you go on any scouting locations?
I didn't go on any scouting. That usually was the directors. And the directors, the first director was there a few months before anyone else was. And then the other 2 directors were there during the run of shooting and scouting for their location. So once we established kind of the continuous sets, which was like the FBI set and the hospital set, then the other directors came in and they scouted their various things. There were places that I would get exposed to along the way, and I would suggest those places because I would meet the owner of a location or whatnot. But that's something we all did. We'd get excited about a location, we'd share it. So it wasn't just me, it was like all of us as a crew and cast.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Another great question. I've got a couple more coming at me. Let's do the next one. You're holding a microphone. I got to assume it's you. Let's go. Come on down. Right there.
Hi.
Well, I'm very fascinated with the action scene with the evening dress.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have 2 questions.
Yeah.
What was the time involved in getting the choreography and bringing it together?
Yeah.
And how did you not split the hose?
Can you believe it? I know.
I can look at them and they split.
No, it's these hose. They're indestructible. There could be an atomic bomb and they're still going to be existing over there. It's shocking. So, should I like shout out to these guys? I don't know. I feel like they've done me so well.
You have to at this point.
Wolford, bloody hell. Wolford, thank you so much. Yes, so.
Crate of hose coming this way right now. The whole crate. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, there we are.
They were really indestructible, truly. So it took, we had a really wonderful stunt coordinator from South Africa who worked with a brilliant team who are based out of Bulgaria, although they work all over the globe on films. And so they spent a number of weeks prepping, creating the choreography, and then delivering it to the actors. And usually it takes, about a day of like solid rehearsal just to learn the choreography. And then we all play and explore and kind of run through it throughout the season. And as you watch it, you'll see that a number of the actors had to learn some fancy footwork in order to commit to those things. And we had fun. Like I enjoyed watching my fellow actors and cheering them on. Oh, and the dress was a bit of a how are we going to do this? How is this going to look? And we had to rehearse specifically for the dress to make sure that we could actually move in it. So, yeah. Riveting, I know. Yes.
Well,
Thank
Very
you.
exciting.
It had a split, so I mean, you weren't going far with it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Tomas, I have time for a couple more. I want to do one more. All right, I can get one more, and it's right over here. Go for it.
Hi.
Hi, Stana. My question has to do with you as maybe a director at some point. You have such a sense of detail. I'm wondering if you're thinking if there's a season 3, which I suspect there will be, if you would direct that, or if you're thinking about directing other projects. You're so detailed and you've done such a great job as an executive producer, and just listening to you talking about all the different things. I'd really love it if you were going to tell us you're going to be behind the camera soon.
I got to direct season 2. I got to direct some of the sort of extra footage that we needed, like whether it was, a hand grabbing something or just some of that. And that was a lot of fun. A lot of my crew came to that, like the heads of the departments came to that day of filming just because we knew we were going to have a good time together and we laughed and enjoyed each other. So I got a bit of a shot of that, and it was like, ultimately, I think for a show like Absentia, I don't see myself being able to jump both in front and behind the camera because it's too distant from each other. And I would love some more experience as a director before diving into something like that. Hats off to Brad Cooper, who I'm sure has done a number of journeys down the directorial path before finally committing to, A Star is Born, which is phenomenal, right? But I would love to do that. I would love to root for actors. I'd love to create a community of creatives that can tell a really profound and moving story, yeah, that resonates with people for a long while. So that would be like a real big gift for me, yeah.
Do you ever, thank you for your question, by the way, that was wonderful. Do you ever, is this a thing that happens in Hollywood? Like, you want to do this, you want to learn this. Have you ever, like, phoned in a friend in a favor and just, like, gone on a day to a set that you're not actually on, but just to observe? And just, like, you've done that?
Yeah.
Like, anything super cool that you can tell us about, or is it all top secret?
No, nothing super, like,
But just, like,
top
cool
secret.
friends or,
But
like...
yeah, it's just, like, I enjoy being on a set. I
wanna
don't
check it out,
mind,
yeah.
like, sitting behind Video Village and watching take after take after take. And I love hearing how the directors help assist an actor get to a space or a zone, and how, as a creative community, people are able to kind of build that space for people to go the depths that they go. So for me, it's, like, fun, you know? Yeah.
Very cool. I could hang out with you and do this forever.
I know,
Yeah.
should we?
I think we should.
Yeah.
We talk about... The people have spoken.
I know, hello.
I'm getting word now that there are fountains of tweets from the Alpinist families, just waves of
Yeah.
tweets.
And the
coming
mega
in.
moguls of Hollywood.
Yep, the president of
Matt
Hollywood
and
has
Katic,
called
they're
us.
working together.
These kids got spunk. Thank you so much for this time and for making time to come hang out with us. And thank you for making this incredible show. How do we help you get season 3? What do we just watch it, tweet it? What do you want us to do? What do we got to do?
Let Amazon know that
Let
you want
Amazon know.
to.
There we are. That's what we got to do. Well, everyone in this room already knows it, but for those watching that maybe you don't know it, tomorrow season 2 drops. So go ahead and check it out and watch Absentia. If you haven't watched season 1, what are you doing with your life? Watch it. Then watch season 2 and be a very happy person. Everybody, please, speaking of happy people, I think we all are right now, make a ridiculous amount of noise. Join me in thanking the great Stana Katic for being here.